Greetings Descendants, FiOth here, and in this vid we will be breaking down Bunny. I know many of you are running around with this electrified rodent thinking she's the hottest shit on the planet. And Bunny can indeed be a huge asset, especially in the early game. What people don't realize is that her damage falls off faster than people's expectations of Elon Musk. So I'm gonna give you a couple of pieces of advice so you can optimize her and keep her consistent and relevant later on in the game when things really start to get beefy and you can't just zap and be done with every single enemy in the game. Let's get to it. We're gonna look at her abilities first and explain what they are about. We will start with Thrill Bomb. Thrill Bomb is a fusion ability, creates a thrill bomb that targets the nearest enemy within range, dealing damage. This damage increases proportional to the amount of electricity, inflicts electrocution on enemies hit. So this will jump from enemy to enemy up to 6 times, as you can see here on the right. There's probably a way to increase this number that I don't have access to right now, but the more electrocution you have, the better your results will be. Electrocution for Bunny is the bar next to her energy bar, and you build electricity by just running around either normally or by activating Speed of Light. Always moves by sprinting and increases sprint speed. Speed of Light additionally gains electricity while moving. This makes you 50% faster while sprinting and keeps accumulating electricity. Activating it has an initial cost, that is 12 units. But once you start running, you will keep running, accumulating electricity. Electricity will then be able to be funneled into the usage of other abilities. Lightning Emission activates Lightning Emission state, deals damage to nearby enemies when moving a certain distance, increases damage proportional to the amount of electricity, inflicts electrocution on enemies hit. Electrocution is a state in which enemies take continuous damage, as you can see on the bottom right, and this is pretty much the thing that makes people believe that Bunny is the most OP thing in the game. Bunny with this ability is very good at clearing trash that is not resistant to electricity. Run around with Speed of Light and electrocute them. You keep building your electricity up, and if you happen to pick up some energy in the distance, then you can continue casting until the timer tapers off. You cannot keep it up forever, but the duration is pretty good, and you can extend the range, as you can see here, up to 3 times the initial radius, which is 3 times 21 meters. Pretty huge and allows you to electrocute a lot of trash mobs. Her ultimate is Maximum Power. Now this is the only way for Bunny to deal single target damage of any importance. Okay, running around with emissions will damage the trash, but big enemies like bosses have such humongous health pools later on that those abilities will just not cut it. Maximum Power, though, will be effective as long as you have moduled her correctly. It stays, discharges electricity forward, deals damage on enemies that come into contact with electricity, with the damage increasing gradually based on the discharge time. Ends when electricity runs out. 2 things to keep in mind here. You have to be charged up, meaning you have as much electricity as possible on the ready, then you activate and you have to keep the reticle on the enemy. The longer you keep the reticle on the enemy and the beam keeps going, the bigger the damage you will get. Rabbit Foot deals damage to nearby enemies upon landing after a double jump. Gains electricity proportional to the travel distance. If there are no movement for a certain period, electricity gradually gets consumed. So you double jump and land. If you land from higher, you generate more electricity. This will indeed outright kill certain smaller enemies, but it should not be used in a way that actually makes you think that by landing next to an enemy you'll be able to take him out, because when you land next to a beefier enemy they don't get taken out, especially if you've been falling from a high point and you are in a vulnerable state because of the crash land. They'll just melee you and down you. This is an added benefit to her kit, not as extreme as Lepic's down but not out ability, but still has some utility to it, and if you work it into your kit intelligently, it will work for you just fine. Now, moduling. This character depends a lot on the effectiveness of their abilities, and especially the ability to activate, sustain, and extend the range. So you want to have as much energy as possible for your initial casts, be durable because you will be running into the line of fire, and able able to reach as many foes with your abilities as possible, because that is how you will actually clear the trash, by having as big of a ring around you with the missions as humanly possible. So I'm gonna give you a few ideas on how to build according to what you have found, or how many times you prestige here, according to what you have on hand, what you have unlocked and found, if you have used an energy activator, or how many times you have reset your character to polarize. You'll have access to different things. I'm gonna relay the mentality of modding here though, so if you get the gist of it, you will be able to make best use of what she has in her kit. One of the most important ones for me is skill expansion. It is a normal, you'll find it 100%, increases the range of the ability, which makes emissions that much more effective. The larger the area you're attacking, the larger the number of foes you can afflict and kill if you have the right damage output. After this, I go with skill insight that increases the skill critical rate. You want those emissions to hit a lot of enemies, thus increasing the chances of some of them getting hit by a crit. If your crits land, you get more damage, and when you're hitting that many enemies, you're guaranteed to get crits. Crits won't really matter if your base damage isn't enough, and here in comes Technician, skill power modifier plus according to your level. I don't need to over elaborate on this, is more skill damage and you want it. End of story. Now Agony is great. It is a double whammy, a rare, max MP increase and defense increase. So this allows you to sustain more damage when you're running into the enemy and gives you more max MP to be able to activate abilities. It is a rare, I don't know if you'll have this, but things that will increase your energy pool and overall defenses work really well on Bunny, especially when they come in hybrid modules. Now MP Collector, as I said on my Lepic vid as well, which you could be able to watch at the end of this one, is one of the best modules I have found. When defeating an enemy, instantly recovers 12.2% of max MP at a 17% chance. This is maxed. It starts more humble and improves as you upgrade it. When you're hitting this many enemies, dealing this much damage, eventually something will proc, something is bound to proc, and 17% is no small chance. It's pretty decent. So every time this applies, you will recover some MP. This is great and will help you sustain casting your abilities in intervals that will allow the refreshes to bring some back whilst others are in use. Very, very good, and I greatly recommend you use this. Amplification control is one I've installed but haven't upgraded yet. It is really, really good. Skill effect range and more shields. As I said, emissions depends a lot on how much range you have, and of course shields will help you stay alive. Enlightenment increases max MP, self-explanatory, and of course the staple of every build, shock punch or whichever melee you prefer, so you have more slots. In these vids I don't want to push you guys towards buying activators and becoming a whale for these people. I want your Descendants to work without dishing out any DAO, and that's what I'm trying to pull here. So we want more energy and more range and damage for our abilities, and that's pretty much it. Please pay attention to the fact that having more magic energy, more energy available, does not mean that you have more electricity available. They're two distinct bars. Electricity will build up by running and from jumping off high places and landing with rabbit foot, but your magic, your energy pool, is a totally different metric that you will have to sustain, and that's the modules we pick for this kind of build. Now when it comes to reactors, we want a reactor that synergizes with electricity. Here you can see I don't have any ultimate perks on this one, but it is pretty decent. It states that if a machine gun is equipped, I reach my quota, and then I get electric skill power boost ratio and fusion skill power boost ratio. 2 out of 4 of Bunny skills are fusion, so this is a good trade-off. It is level 49 on a 40 level Descendant. Eventually you will be getting 100 level equipment, of course, on hard, but for the progression of the thing and whilst you're still leveling and getting stuff, having a reactor that works synergizing what you need is a really good investment. For the external components, what I will suggest as always is get a set. As you can see here, get as many parts of the set as possible and work within the confines of a set instead of just mixing and matching random parts. The Battle Aesthetics Auxiliary Power set is a really good pick, but it all depends on what kind of RNG you get, so I can't really say get this or that. If you get something out of the Battle Aesthetics and you can put the set together, that is great. If not, look after the second possible thing, that is putting a set together and benefiting from its effects. So Bunny, an area damaging character without much crowd control, focused on clearing trash and occasionally focusing down biggies with her ultimate. Please come to grips with the fact that she is not the highest damage dealing character, especially during the late game, but you can increase the damage output, range and overall consistency by moduling her correctly. Click any of these videos if you want to learn more about the game, subscribe, like and hit the notification bell, follow our streams whenever we are live with this one, and until next time, be well, stay frosty and always strive for perfection. Cheers!